Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something a lot of you have been asking about lately.
Oh, yeah.
Defeating those negative thoughts. And we've got a fantastic interview with performance coach Trevor Moawad to really help guide us through this.
I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, me too.
This is going to be a really interesting one because he doesn't really start with, you would think he doesn't start with the power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
He kind of throws a curveball and starts by just emphasizing how strong negativity really is.
Yeah, it's really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But he claims that a negative thought is 4 to 7 times more powerful than a positive one.
Yeah.
And then, wait, there's more.
Buckle up.
Saying that negative thought out loud makes it 10 times stronger.
That is a combined potential of 40 to 70 times more impact just from
Whoa.
voicing your fears and doubts aloud.
It's like you're breathing life into them.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about that.
Yeah. And he gives some pretty chilling stories to illustrate this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like Bill Buckner,
Right.
the baseball player who predicted his infamous World Series error, or Pete Maravich,
Yeah.
the basketball star who seemed to foretell his early death.
So then what do we do
Right.
if negativity is so potent?
Yeah. How do we fight back?
His answer is really fascinating.
Okay. Yeah.
Neutral thinking.
Neutral thinking.
Yeah.
So is that like,
Is it like forcing ourselves to be positive?
right, like slapping a happy face on everything?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging the truth of a situation without adding in those negative interpretations or spiraling into what ifs.
Right.
It's about taking away all the emotion and just seeing things for what they are.
Like plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
I like the analogy he uses to describe it.
Oh, yeah.
Like shifting a car, you can't go straight from reverse to drive.
Right.
You gotta hit neutral first.
That's neutral thinking.
Yeah.
That pause, that mental shift that lets you choose a new direction for your thoughts.
So it's really about getting back that control,
Yeah.
that agency over our thoughts and actions.
Absolutely. And that leads us to another big concept in this interview, the illusion of choice.
Illusion of choice. So we don't have free will.
No, not at all.
Okay.
What he's getting at is that when we set a specific goal, like achieving a healthier lifestyle or building a successful business,
Right.
our choices actually become limited by the behaviors that it takes to reach that goal.
So it's freedom within discipline then.
Yeah, exactly. And he actually uses a great example of this, his conversation with NBA star Vince Carter.
Okay.
Carter really emphasizes that his long career in basketball wasn't about freedom, it was about discipline.
Right.
He couldn't just eat whatever he wanted or play however he felt like.
Yeah.
And still expect to perform at an elite level for 2 decades.
Right.
And this goes to a larger point that Moawad emphasizes.
Yep.
Behavior trumps feelings. It's not about waiting for the motivation to strike.
Okay.
It's about taking action even when it's difficult
Right.
and letting those actions shape our emotions and outcomes.
So almost like you're putting the cart before the horse. You're putting action before feeling.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
By taking action, even if we don't feel like it, we start to actually shape our emotions and outcomes.
Right.
Our feelings often follow our actions.
Okay, interesting.
Not the other way around.
It reminds me of the story that he tells about his dad's advice.
Yeah.
Which was inspired by this magazine entrepreneur.
Right.
Who ended up thriving after he got a mistakenly high SAT score.
Exactly.
What was the message there?
We become what we act like.
Wow.
It's a powerful reminder that our actions have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
They shape not only our external reality, but also our internal identity.
So we've talked about the power of neutral thinking, prioritizing behavior over feelings.
Right.
But there's another piece of Moawad's work that I think really stuck with me.
Yeah.
The power of hope.
This is where it gets really interesting. This is where it gets a little more emotionally resonant.
Okay.
He argues that when we feel helpless, we become hopeless. But when we focus on what we can control,
Right.
even if they're small actions, we maintain that sense of agency
Yeah.
and therefore hope.
So it's not just passive optimism or wishful thinking.
No.
It's about taking action.
Yeah.
And that opens up possibilities.
Exactly.
Even when you're going through challenges.
Yeah, even in the middle of challenges, it's really about making that choice to do something. And that's what kind of pushes us forward.
So when we're feeling overwhelmed, by those negative thoughts, what are the things that we can do?
Right. What can we actually do?
Yeah, to apply these concepts to our own lives.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And Moawad actually talks about this quite a bit.
Okay.
He highlights 3 key areas to focus on:
Okay.
language consumption and behavior.
Okay, I'm ready.
So let's start with language. he reminds us to be mindful of the words that we speak because they really do have a powerful impact on our thoughts and our actions.
Okay, so no more like, I'm so stupid or this is never going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those phrases, they're like self-inflicted wounds.
Right.
It just reinforces the negativity that we're trying to combat.
Makes sense.
So next, he encourages us to be mindful of what we consume.
Okay, so he's talking about like the books we read.
Exactly.
The shows we watch, the music we listen to.
The things that we take in.
Yeah, all those inputs that shape how we think.
Yeah, and he even shares this startling statistic.
Okay.
Watching just 3 minutes of news
Oh, gosh.
increases the probability of reporting a bad day by 27%.
Wow. So maybe it's time to swap out the doom scrolling for something a little more uplifting.
Definitely something more uplifting.
Okay.
And then finally, and I think probably most importantly, he stresses the power of behavior.
Okay.
Behavior.
Okay.
He reminds us that we don't have to wait. Okay.
For the perfect feeling.
Right.
Or the ideal circumstances to take action.
Yeah.
So even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable, we can choose to act
Okay.
in ways that align with our goals.
Okay, so you're creating that positive feedback loop
Yeah.
where you're engaging in these positive actions.
Yeah, and then those positive actions actually start generating positive feelings.
Right.
Which then fuel further positive action.
So it builds on itself.
It's like a cycle of empowerment.
That makes sense. So this has been a fantastic deep dive so far.
Yeah.
But before we move on, are there any like specific exercises or techniques that he recommends to combat those persistent negative thoughts?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
He doesn't really offer like a one-size-fits-all,
Right.
but he does give us some powerful tools.
Okay.
For example, he suggests writing down your goals. This can actually really help to clarify your intentions. And it creates kind of like a roadmap for your actions. He actually got this idea from watching Olympic sprinter Michael Johnson,
Oh, wow.
who used this really simple act of writing a grocery list
Interesting.
to stay focused on his goals and like avoid distractions.
It's crazy how even like seemingly mundane actions can really impact our mindset.
Yeah.
Another technique he emphasizes is asking yourself empowering questions.
Okay, so instead of asking, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
We can ask, like, what can I learn from this?
Exactly.
Or what actions can I take to move forward?
Yeah. By changing the questions, we actually change our focus.
From negative to positive.
It's all about reclaiming control over our thoughts and our actions.
I love that. So this has been a fantastic deep dive so far.
It has.
We've covered a lot. The surprising power of negativity, the importance of neutral thinking, and really just that transformative power of hope.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap up this part, I think a really thought-provoking question for our listener is how can we apply these principles to create more hope and resilience and positive momentum in our own lives?
That's a great question.
And we'll continue exploring this in the final part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, before we left off,
Yeah.
we're talking about the importance of who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah, like having that network, you know, having those people around you.
That support network.
Yeah.
It can really make such a big difference, you know?
Yeah, when you're feeling down, they lift you up.
Yeah, and they can give you that inspiration when you need it most.
Like you don't have to face those negative thoughts alone.
Definitely not. You've got people.
And that actually brings us to another aspect of Moawad's work.
Oh, yeah.
That we haven't really touched on yet.
Okay.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
It's like one of those things we all know we should do more of.
Yes, we should.
But it's easy to forget.
It is.
In our busy lives. But Moawad really stresses that gratitude is more than just like a feel-good emotion.
It's way more than that.
Yeah.
It's like a powerful tool that can actually shift our perspective.
Right.
And help us to create a more positive outlook.
It's like focusing on what we do have.
Exactly.
Instead of what we're missing.
Yeah.
So how do we actually like weave that into our daily lives? Does he have any like practical tips?
He does.
Okay.
He actually suggests keeping a gratitude journal.
Oh.
Just like a few minutes each day.
Yeah.
Just write down the things that you're grateful for.
It doesn't have to be anything big.
No, not at all.
Like it could just be like a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, a nice cup of coffee.
Or like a beautiful sunset. Or a kind word from a friend.
Exactly.
So it's making it a habit.
Making it a habit.
To think that way.
To be more grateful.
Yeah.
And, another way to practice gratitude is by expressing it to others.
Oh, that's so important.
It really is.
Just telling someone you appreciate them.
You appreciate them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can really brighten their day.
Yeah. And it strengthens your bond?
Exactly. It's a small act of kindness that can really create a ripple effect of positivity.
Yeah. And, there's this larger point here that's kind of woven throughout all of his work.
Oh, yeah.
It's like taking responsibility.
Yes.
For our own, thoughts, feelings, and actions.
This is huge.
Yeah.
It's recognizing that you're not a victim of your circumstances.
They have the power to choose.
Yes.
How we react.
How we interpret things. How we shape our reality.
Yeah, so it's like we're the authors of our own stories.
We are.
Yeah, and that can be scary.
It can be.
But also really liberating.
It can be both.
Yeah.
It's scary because we can't blame others for our unhappiness or our setbacks.
Right. But it's liberating because we have the power to create a life we love.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership and realizing that you have that power.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has been.
We've covered a lot, from the power of neutral thinking to the importance of gratitude, self-compassion, and really just taking responsibility for our lives.
Yeah. Moawad's work is really insightful.
It is.
And it gives us that roadmap for navigating those tough times.
Yeah.
And just cultivating a mindset that is more hopeful, more resilient.
More empowered.
More empowered.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, we'll leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
What's one small action that you can take today to put these principles into practice?
Right.
Is it writing down, 3 things you're grateful for?
That's a good one.
Is it reaching out to a friend you haven't talked to in a while?
Yeah.
Or even just choosing to reframe a negative thought in a more positive or neutral, constructive way?
It can be anything.
Yeah.
Just take that first step.
Remember, even small actions can make a big difference.
They really can.
Over time.
It's all about the journey.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing hope.